Women have no place in MMA. Fighting for women is unnatural and boring. Bring on the mud wrestling. Yes, these are the kind of things that you will hear when you start talking about women in MMA. Yet those people cannot be further away from the truth. The athletes who compete in women's MMA are one of the top athletes you will find around the world, and some of them have truly inspirational stories that we're going to discuss today on this channel. Welcome to the TohirT channel. My name is Tahir, and today we're talking about three inspirational champions: Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko, and Rose Namajunas. Let's do this. UFC is a mixed martial arts league, and it encompasses 9 different weight classes, and each weight class carries its own champion, and within 4 of them we also have women's championship. And it just happened to be that the 3 champions we're talking about today own all of those belts. Yes, they're that good. Of course, I could not start with any other champion than someone who grew up not that far from where I'm from. Valentina Shevchenko, nicknamed the Bullet, is from Kyrgyzstan, one of those many stand countries that people get confused about. No shaming, I get it, it's very hard to pronounce some of these names, especially if you're a native English speaker, but there's no surprise that growing up, Valentina decided to go into MMA. After all, her mother was the president of the Muay Thai club in Kyrgyzstan. As she was growing up, as she learned other different mixed martial arts, this woman became unstoppable when it comes to her championship pursuits, no matter what kind of sport she partook in. She's a champion in kickboxing, she's a champion in Muay Thai. She ended up competing in the shooting range competitions, not where her nickname is from. Her nickname is from the fact that she actually is that fast with her strikes. That's why she's called the Bullet. I know, random. She ended up moving to Peru, and randomly, because of her love for dancing, she competed in a dance competition on the Peruvian TV out there. She speaks multiple different languages, she studies, she travels the world, she teaches people across those different countries she visits. This woman stays busy. She stays inspirational, and among all of those things, she still stays at the top of her game.
We always knew that martial arts, it's our way. Martial arts is our lifestyle. From very little girls, we trained, we traveled, and that was how we lived.
Now, there's no way for us to talk about Valentina without talking about her sister, Antonina. Antonina and Valentina Shevchenko, they're like not the twin sisters. I don't even have a good reference. They're like double dragon, if you're that old to remember the reference of the sport. 2 of them constantly support each other. There is no ego, there is no attempts to show up each other and prove who's better than the other. They both compete in UFC. Antonina is also a UFC fighter, and they support each other, they train with each other. They will carry water for each other and be each other's water boy if they needed be, all for the purpose of one of them winning and the other one being there to support her own sister. I believe that when you have that kind of support network around you, when you continuously train, you have that continuity in the approach, in the mindset, you share those meals together, you share those training sessions together, you travel throughout the world and teach other people and bring other people into your family and supporting them. When you have that aura around you, that energy, there is no wondering why Valentina became the dominant champion that she is. Our second champion's background could not have been more contrasting, yet she's equally deservedly so, is part of this story. Rose Namajunas, or the Thug Rose as she's nicknamed, is originally from Lithuania, or at least her parents were, but she was born in Wisconsin, grew up in the United States, and unfortunately through a series of family struggles and tragedies, ended up in one of the rougher neighborhoods in Wisconsin. This is where her nickname Thug Rose comes through. This tiny lady, and I mean it with all the respect, is a pitbull when it comes to fighting. She's skilled artist, she's skilled fighter. She is dedicated to this craft. There's no wonder why. She won the championship the first time from one of the toughest opponents. Then yes, she ended up losing it, and she came back, brought herself back up, won the championship again against another dominant champion at this time, this year, like literally a few weeks ago when she won that title back. You can see that this woman has all the determination and the hard work of a true historical athlete that we will keep talking about for years to come. Outside of the octagon, Rose is very outspoken about mental health issues. She spoke about her own experiences, her own challenges, how they affected her career, and how she moved past beyond them. I think it's very important when people with this kind of public view continuously talk about these issues, because that helps other fighters, other athletes realize that they're not alone in this kind of challenge. After all, if you can think of what it's like to be in UFC or any MMA league for that matter, you constantly as good as your last fight. You have to continuously perform and take care of yourself. Once you win that belt, there's like a line of 10 to 20 people who are gunning for your head and want to hurt you to take that belt away from you. It is a lot of pressure. And when you work through that pressure, when you lose and build yourself back up and you win against that tough an opponent like the one that she faced before, you can see that this is not just about perfect shape, your skills in the octagon, it's a lot about that mental game. And when Rose speaks about that, when Rose talks about how she overcame those challenges, this is when it becomes inspirational for any kind of professional under the pressure.
Everything that was from my childhood, this is what I fought to get out of. And this is like back to stupid street that, you know, I don't want to be around that anymore. That's what I fought my way out of. And so here I find myself again in the same spot. But then at the same time, I came back around to it, like, this is also what I'm here for. So I took it as motivation to show the world that, you know, that's not gonna stop me.
Finally, the last, but definitely not the least, and possibly my favorite women's MMA champion, Amanda Nunes. Amanda took the entire league by storm. She entered UFC and she never looked back when it comes to her competitors. One after the other, she took them all out on the way to the championship, to the 2 championships, because she's the one who carries 2 belts from 2 different weight divisions. In both cases, Amanda entered against the very dominant champions of both of those weight classes. In both cases, Amanda entered as an underdog, and in both of those championships, she won decisively within the first few minutes of the fight.
And still the undisputed and new undisputed UFC featherweight champion of the world, Amanda, the Lioness Nunes.
No wonder her nickname is the Lioness. This is one of those times when a nickname even pales in comparison to everything that the champion was able to achieve. Outside of the octagon, Amanda is sweet and caring person. She in some ways reminds me of Francis Ngannou, someone I spoke about in this prior video, where she's a scary person in the octagon. You do not want to find yourself opposite of her in that cage, but once she leaves that cage, she's very caring, very thoughtful, very loving person. She also happens to be the first openly gay and LGBTQ champion in the UFC and the entire MMA. Her and her wife, Nina Ansarov, happen to be both in the UFC as well and just recently welcomed their beautiful daughter. And both of them continuously promote the idea of the hard work, of dedication, of pushing for their championship, of continuously supporting each other. When you look at all of this together, when you look at everything that Amanda achieved so far, you can see that there is not that much maybe for her left to conquer within the league itself. And out of the 3 that we've discussed today, I can see her retiring probably the soonest. But I also know, similar to all of these 5 other champions that we discussed across the 2 videos, her story will only close the chapter, and there'll be a lot more to tell as the years will come, whether it's going to be within this sport, within the MMA, or completely outside of it.
The greatest female mixed martial arts fighter ever. The first ever 2-division champion.
Did you know anything about these 3 champions? Which of the facts did you find the most inspirational? And are there other athletes out there who you would like me to talk about next? Well, share your thoughts and ideas in the section below. I know UFC is not for everyone. I know it's hard sometimes to look past the violence and the blood, occasional blood. I promise it doesn't always happen that way. But if you get yourself to look beyond that, or if you just consume the content about the people who are in the league and kind of like look at their life outside of the octagon, you will find so many inspirational stories. These 6 people that I've discussed over the course of the 2 videos are just kind of like the tip of the iceberg. Yes, they're champions, they're easy to talk about, they're very visible, but there's so many more cascading stories within the league and the athletes who work hard to achieve those championships. And this is why I find them so inspirational. This is why I find the sport so fun to watch, because I observe those stories every fight card. And well, if you're curious about other inspirational stories, whether it's the athletes, the business professional, the artsy people, I talk about those individuals a lot. So if you're curious, I'm here every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, share this video with some of your friends. Here are a couple more videos for you to enjoy. And well, I'll see you in the next one, talking about some other inspirational person, possibly. Peace.